Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Moving on to item number 3, the EDA Director's Administrative Report. Heather, would you help us with that?
Sure. You have received the report. I'll just go over a few of the highlights. Note under the public housing report, we have received our notice for the 2019 Capital Fund Grant in the amount of $98,542. Note under the EDA report that the EDA paid $40,000 for the retail strategies consultant, and then were reimbursed in the combined amount of $25,000 from the other entities that went in on that with us. Just one note also under the rental properties report, that we are allowing the New Ulm Baseball Association to place their sign on the EDA property at 326 North Broadway again this year.
Any questions for Heather?
Just a comment on the retail strategies. I had a conversation last week with Justin, who was our point person for that company, and they're busy at work doing analysis, and he'd like to be back here sometime this summer, either in front of us or in front of the city council to give an update on their beginning analysis. And again, that's what they do for the first 6 months, is what are the open buildings, what potential options are there for them. So it's just a lot of data collection and analysis this first, actually pretty much the first year, but especially the first 6 months. So other than that, I'll offer a motion to approve the EDA report.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Moving on to item 4 on the agenda, which is Public Housing Site Improvement Project. Would you like
Right.
to help us, Heather?
Sure. This is a capital fund project I've been working on. I did a walkthrough of all the public housing properties last fall and made a list of areas that, areas of the concrete that need repair, and put it together into a package. If this project is approved, I plan to go around with maintenance staff and mark the areas with red spray paint, so the vendors know exactly where we want the work done, and there's no confusion on that. But I thought I better wait until the project's approved before I go and mark everything up. These repairs, they're just necessary periodically to improve safety on the properties and curb appeal. The last time we made repairs of this nature was back in 2011, and with the freeze and thaw cycle that we have in Minnesota, as you all know, sidewalks lift and crack and that sort of thing. So we want to just fix a couple problem areas around the properties. We estimate the project to cost around $10,000, and that's just based on the cost last time around, and then added in for some inflation.
I think it's critical when we have some of the folks that are of different age or elderly to have these areas, so they're non-trippable and that kind of thing. So I will go ahead and offer to get these bids.
I'll second.
Was this done last year as well, Heather?
The repairs?
The repairs?
No, we haven't done repairs since 2011.
Okay, all right. I think it's important to be proactive.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We move on to the next item, which is the EDA claims list for May 14th, 2019.
Anything out of the ordinary?
We just had a couple turnovers, and hopefully our final snow removal bills have come through now.
No elevator bills.
No.
I will offer the motion to pay the public housing claims.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Moving on to item number 5 is the EDA Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager's Activity Report. Chris?
And just call out a couple notes. Again, met with retail strategies consultant and just echoing on what Commissioner Less had said. They are very much in the data collection phase right now, but they will be attending the International Council of Shopping Centers Retail Convention in Las Vegas next week. So it's a 4-day event. They're going to be there in front of all your national chains, different retailers, different developers, and with the information they've collected so far, they'll be able to get potential sites in front of those retailers to see if they're interested. So we probably won't hear anything from them for about 3 weeks. After they go to the convention, they're pretty much going to go in dark mode and just not consult with anyone to compile that information and get reports generated from all the leads and everything that they've had at that convention. So we probably won't hear anything from them for about 3 weeks. And then after that, we'll get a report of everything that happened at the convention. And then Heather, myself, and Dan met with the developer about potentially developing the site in front of Garden Terrace 1 and 2. I sent them a topography map and where the utilities were, and so they have forwarded that on to their architect to see what is viable on that site. And then they're going to come back, hopefully, with a proposal that we can present to the board and for your approval to possibly sell or allow them to develop that property there. And they are possibly interested in the rest of the Milford Heights lots as well, developing those. So they might do a package proposal for both.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Chris?
I just mentioned Mr. Dalton that this is in my ward, and I'm already getting a few phone calls and a letter because building of that Garden Terrace 3 would destroy the sightline of certain people living in the current Garden Terrace 1 or 2, or at least certain portions of that. So this will be a little contentious as we move forward.
Yeah, and the EDA had always intended on building a Garden Terrace 3 there, so that was the plan.
Right.
So it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
But it never happened. So I think people that moved into that certain areas, and depends on how many stories it is, and so there's more information to come before we.
Yeah, we discussed several different alternatives for the site, including one proposal for possible townhome-style homes there. So we're going to let it to the creativity of their architects to kind of come back. We expressed already some preliminary concerns about that issue that was raised when we met with them. And so I think going forward, I mean, we have to address, I have a belief that no matter what we do, some people are going to complain, but I think we can make it where it's going to be attractive to the neighborhood, yet still provide a valuable function. I mean, we're still in a very critical need for housing in our community, and this just is something that I think the EDA could step forward and help alleviate some of that need. So,
Yeah, the developer also mentioned that because of the topography where that land sits, it does sit lower than the other two buildings, and the actual ground floor of those existing buildings is the garage. So the actual first floor that has apartments or living quarters is actually the second floor. So they are raised up, and the developer thought, they could build something to keep in mind the sight line that hopefully the tenants could live with.
Sure.
So they're mindful of that.
absolutely. I don't think it's an issue. We're just going to slap something up to get it done quick to make, check off the list that we have more housing available now. I think it's going to be done carefully and with that in consideration. I just thought another concept they talked about was creating a kind of a center courtyard concept between the buildings to make it attractive and appealing with some possible amenities, within there. So I think there's a lot of possibilities there, and I think we want to move forward. We're going to move forward carefully and considerate of the whole neighborhood, so.
Thank you.
And Chris, did you want to mention the down payment?
Yeah, so the down payment program, that's pretty much ready to go. Need to meet with the bankers or the loan officers to get them up to speed and make sure that the forms that we have aren't duplication of efforts as far as collecting information from potential applicants. And then after we meet with them, then it's out to the brokers or the realtors to get that information out there. So by the end of the month, this program should be up and running pretty much in time for buying season.
And why don't you bring us up to date on your former position as well?
So currently right now that is closing tomorrow. We have, I think, 11 applicants right now, 1 internal, 10 external, and there could be the level of external candidates is not where I feel it should be, so there might be possibility where we do close after it closes, kind of just let it go dark for about 6 months and reapply or repost it back in the fall sometime. I've been talking with other city managers and other elected officials, when they're hiring police chiefs, city managers, and other executive positions, they haven't been getting a lot of applications in, so it might be just the time of the year. So it might be something we look into. Having it dark for another 6 months is not the end of the world if we don't get the quality or caliber of applicants that we're looking for to fill that position.
Okay.
Anything else? Could I get a motion to accept the EDA Director's report, please?
I'll offer the motion to accept the EDA Director's report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Hearing no other, nothing else on our agenda, I thank you all for being here, and meeting adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.